Hi, and that's going to happen. Hi, and welcome to an informational webinar for the Leadership Acceleration Program. My name is Hafsa Sayed. I'm a board member for NPN and also a coach for Leadership Acceleration Program, which is a mouthful, so I'm going to refer to it as LAP. I want to thank you all for taking the time for joining us today. And we really want this to be an interactive webinar. So whenever you have a question or a comment, feel free to put it in the chat or raise your hand. And most of you have already plugged in the information on where you're from and all that jazz. And a final note of housekeeping for those who are joining us right now, the webinar is being recorded. And with that, I think I'm going to try and bring our screen share up to date so we can have a little bit more fun. Okay, so the Leadership Acceleration Program, it's powered by NPN. And for many of you who are familiar with it, for over 20 years, Nonprofit Net of Greater Boston area has been offering expert-led seminars to the diverse ecosystem of nonprofits in Massachusetts. And it's all free of any monetary charge. And so today we are talking about Leadership Acceleration Program. And I think it's worth noting that leading a nonprofit is one of the toughest jobs anyone has to do. There are big missions, small budgets, and high stakes. And that's exactly why we created LAP. To tell us more about the vision is LAP's lead coach. And a small hint here, Margo is the one who conceived and thought of the idea, built it, and is also the driving force behind it. Margo is a former lead executive coach at Harvard, and she's got a lot to tell us, and she's right now on the screen. I do think she should come on. How about that, Margo?
Hi, great. Thanks, Hafsa. So let me just say a word about why we designed LAP. I was the lead coach at the Kennedy School in a program called Achieving Excellence, which some of you may have heard of. It's a program for larger nonprofits from across the country. It's expensive. It's a 16-month program. But the elements of the program just struck me as being incredibly effective. And so when we designed the LAB program, we focused on the elements that were so successful, but we also designed it to work better for smaller and moderate-sized nonprofits who very often don't have professional development budgets. And when they do, when there's a cost-cutting measure to be had, those are often the first things to go. So LAP decided to attempt a pilot for smaller and moderate-sized nonprofit organizations, free of charge, with the same valuable elements that the Achieving Excellence program had, but more geared toward the challenges and situations that smaller and moderate-sized nonprofits often have. So Hafsa, do you want me to say a little bit about the program elements at this point?
Yeah, I do want to, first of all, read something to our audience from our survey results from the last cohort. Last year, the lab cohort reported 100% satisfaction in progress towards the organizational challenge. Participants experienced a shift from reactive and strategic leadership. I think this was at the end of the program. LAP, as you know, is a 9-month-long journey, and these were not prompted. We had asked our participants in LAP to tell us how they felt, and this was the rating they gave us. Now, how this happened, we have the power of 3. Performance challenge, the peer group, and the coaches. And Margo, so what resources do we provide our LAP participants in this 9-month program within the power of 3?
Well, let me say a word first about the performance challenge. Really is the heart and soul of the program. And I say that because it's not an end in itself, but it's a means to an end that we've found to be very effective in developing and enhancing the leadership of executive directors. So the program has 3 elements: the performance challenge, and it's not something new. We're not asking you to invent something for purposes of this program. We really want you to identify a challenge facing your organization that you really know you're going to have to work on one way or another. And what we do is provide you with a skilled executive coach who will work with you over the 9 months of the program, um, and a peer group, the other folks who are accepted into the program along with you, constitute a really highly effective group of colleagues who come from very different parts of the nonprofit sector. And so they bring experiences and perspectives that you may not have or you may not have heard before. We provide a variety of tools in addition to that are tools that have been essentially invented at the Kennedy School, but have proven to be really useful in the LAP program as well. And I would say one other word is that the conversations at the peer group level are confidential. We know that the nonprofit world is a small world, and those conversations will be confidential, but they're incredibly useful. And everybody's working on their own challenge, but very often the obstacles they run into, people have in common. So this is a leadership seminar. It's not a leadership class. We really believe that meaningful change happens when you're doing real work. And that is the purpose of the performance challenge. That's the real work. And we provide the supportive resources that really help you move over the course of 9 months to make a substantial difference.
I have just dropped, Margo, the FAQs, which are the questions about LAP, and also a lot of the questions we've been receiving from our participants. For those of you unfamiliar with the history of LAP, this is our season 3, as we call it. LAP is 3 years old. This is going to be our third cohort, and we have been building upon our experiential knowledge from our lab participants. So these questions are a good click. If you need any clarity, we've tried to cover them. Marco, one of the questions we often receive from our attendees who are interested in lab is to have some examples of what a performance challenge or an organizational challenge looks like. Could you shed some light on that?
Sure. And you're going to hear from 3 LAP alumni over the course of this 45 minutes to an hour. And they all have very different challenges. But the challenges have ranged from difficult organization situations with staffing, with need to reorganize job descriptions, to a board that needs to be rejuvenated or needs to work a little harder than perhaps that they've worked historically. People who are transitioning into new executive director roles, which can be a challenging situation, and the support of a peer group and a coach can be incredibly valuable. It's really the range of things that you can think of. I think we have encountered, certainly I've encountered in the 10 years that I worked at the Kennedy School, and even in the last 2 years with LAP, the challenges have really been wide ranging. And I would also say that the diversity of organizations that have benefited from the program, I mean, as diverse as, Asian Women for Health, Student Clinic for Immigrant Justice, Women's Money Matters, Boston by Foot, and plus the 3 alumni who you'll hear from today. It's been a wide range, and that's been part of the richness of the program. It's just been extraordinary to me. Sometimes the smaller nonprofits can be really more nimble than some of the more established organizations. And I think the mutual help works both ways. So the peer group, and you'll hear more about it from Aaron, I believe, the peer group has been an extraordinary, pleasant surprise for all of us.
And we are very lucky to actually have one of our lab participants from the last cohort join us in person. If you're wondering how well the Leadership Acceleration Program performs, we're fortunate that Sharon will be actually telling you that. So it's not us toying with words, branding it, and making it amazing. Sharon's going to give us an exact picture of how it benefited her. Sharon is she has foster care essentials, and her vision was so big. So when she came in and she joined us, it was a eureka moment from the minute we met her, with the passion that she had, the determination, and then it just translated into so much dedication. With that, Sharon, I would like you to unmute yourself, and this is your stage.
Well, thank you very much for asking me to talk about my experience with the lap program. Um, I have learned so much from this program. I can't even begin. I could probably write several chapters on a book about it. My organization has grown significantly since I became a lap program um, person, graduate, I guess, or whatever I'm called. Um, I've
Sharon,
learned.
let me ask you a couple of questions here.
Sure.
So you just what convinced you to apply to lab?
Well, I reluctantly applied um, because I just thought it was too much. It was over my head. I was brand new at any kind of top role, executive director, CEO. My organization was only 2 years old. But what attracted me to apply was the fact that I mean, I'd been in other organizational cohorts before, but it was more of like, this is how the nonprofit world works. This is the accounting piece. This is this piece. So I got it all together, but I needed something a little more specific to me, to my organization. And that's what LAP was. We concentrated on one thing. And that's, at first I thought, my God, I have 5 things. I just don't have one. I don't know. I thought I just had too many. I was too new. But somebody helped me put it all together, and I did eventually come up with a performance challenge. So that's what was really the big piece, attractive piece for me, was that you focused on something very specific.
And uh, uh, other expectations. Did you have any other expectations, and did you have any surprises?
I had no expectations other than I was nervous. I was very anxious ridden. But I just figured somebody would just like answer a piece of what I was looking for, and I would be good with that, and I would just take it and run. One thing about the nonprofit world that I have learned is that I'm very isolated. Um, and I don't know, when I worked in the corporate world, you had a huge office of people and you could say, oh, hey, how about this? How about that? As a nonprofit leader, it was just me. And I just thought, oh my gosh, I don't know what I'm doing. Let's, whatever. But so that's why my expectations were pretty low. And I just figured, oh, just give me a couple of tidbits and I'll be gone. Those surprises were that I got way more than what I expected. Did I get my answer? Yes, but I got so much more. I learned I look at things in a different perspective. Um, I just looked at things differently, and I can't really say that I was doing them wrong. I just didn't know, and now I have better knowledge, more knowledge to make better decisions. So the surprises, and another thing that surprised me was the other people in the group, and how helpful they were. We would meet every now and then as a group, and we had this section called Help Wanted. And I thought, oh, I'm thinking I'm just too new about this, and any question I would bring to the table would just be really silly. But it really wasn't. I was looking for a software program to help me with donors, just to manage all of the families that we had. And one of the ladies in the cohort introduced me to her um, director of development. And as it turns out, he lives right down the street from me. We met on Zoom a couple of times. He helped me with everything. He put together one of my tables through Excel, and oh yeah, I mean that was incredible. I was surprised that, this person didn't even know me, much less this other woman. And I thought, wow, look what you did. Look what you helped me with. Even to this day, the program ended in June, and I can email him at any time. So that was a very pleasant, unexpected surprise.
That's
Um,
great. That's great. Um, Other questions for Sharon? We just want to make sure people have specific questions for her. You can put them in the chat or you can raise your hand.
I have a question for Sharon. Um, Sharon, doubt is good, and there's no best way to do leadership. You spoke about the beauty of the peer support and being in that room with all these other people. You came in with a lot of ideas about what it would be like, but you walked away with just a lot of positivity. And I didn't rehearse this. I recall the interaction and how it was from front till the end. What do you feel you would highlight as the ultimate value add on you received from being a part of a peer group for 9 months, having a measurable focus, a North Star defined for you? You had to go after that, and then being able to witness your own success in a tangible way. What was the one value add on you feel it gave you?
Um, I believe it would be the growth that I experienced personally. I was challenged I was consistently challenged to like step out of my comfort zone. I am not a talker. I'm a doer. Don't ask me to talk. Oh, mamma mia. But during the program, I had many, many opportunities. And as difficult as they were, I got through them, and I don't think I would have been able to do that without the support of others, the support of a coach. Um, I don't know. I was, yeah, that I would say that would have to be the biggest piece is my personal development, which just helps everywhere, especially with my organization, how I deal with the board, how I deal with volunteers. So much has changed for my organization for the better, because I feel that I'm a better leader because of LAB.
I just want to throw in, I was fortunate to be Shell's coach, so I didn't ask her to comment on her coach. But I would have to say that she spoke in front of a group of 500 people. And she sent me a copy of her speech. And I would have to say, having been in the nonprofit world and given a lot of speeches over my tenure, it was one of the best speeches I've ever read and more persuasive than anything I had seen in a very long time. So I had to offer that because it was so impressive.
Thank you.
And Sharon, I have put in Foster Care Essentials link in the chat, so everybody who's interested in getting to know more can access it. It's so interesting, even part of our exit survey, and it's really good because we're always measuring our performance. I mean, our peer group, our participants have to abide by certain expectations, and so does the overall coaching team at Lab. And it was interesting to see that in the exit survey, 100% of lab participants found the peer group to be valuable. And what really makes it incredible is because in the room when we're sitting, you are not like to each his own. There is a very collaborative energy that Margo is able to instill in everyone. And then there are the frameworks we have and the certain terminologies like, the balcony view or the S curve, all of those things. It feels like in the first session, you could be in a classroom, but gradually as you go through the process, you just realize, you have to have frameworks that allow you to opt for success. Um, I do have a question I do want to check if any one of you just want to jump in, share your views. I mean, about any of the things we've spoken so far. Again, remember we said we'll make it interactive and it won't be just 3, 4 people talking. Has any one of you have had executive coaching before? No? Do you think the reason, is it not having access to an executive coach or is it an alien concept? Julian is thinking deep. Kyle, what do you think?
Thanks for the question. I mean, I just became executive director May 1st, so it's a little bit.
Congratulations.
Thank you. So it's a little bit of access, a little bit of just the timing of things right now. I mean, I've had mentors, professional mentors, but as of now, not executive coaching. So definitely something I'm interested in. I'm wondering if you could just kind of also walk through just a snippet or a snapshot of kind of what some of the hands-on work includes or entails. And also flush out over the 9 months, kind of just what is the monthly or weekly time commitment.
That's
Margo,
go ahead.
sorry, go ahead. I'm just going to pull up the slide for the timely commitments. So while you talk.
Okay. Essentially, as I said, there are 3 elements of pretty simple. Working on the performance challenge is the heart and soul of the program. And that is what the coach and the peer group are going to be supporting everyone in doing. And obviously everybody's going to have a very different performance challenge, but there are always common elements that everybody can learn from. The dates for there are 5 in-person meetings. We think they're all in person at this point. That was interestingly, from the feedback we got from the last group, we had 3 in-person meetings and 2 virtual meetings last time. People wanted more in-person meetings, the peer group did. So we will be considering that seriously, and we'll probably take a poll of the folks who are accepted into this round to see what their preference is. So there are 5 meetings. Each of those meetings marks a point in the trajectory of the program in terms of what is the progress you've made on your challenge with the help of your coach and with individual conversations with other peer group members by Skype or email or whatever. What obstacles are you facing or are you anticipating? And where is a spot that you could really use? I mean, I think Sharon mentioned the Help Wanted session. That it's amazing the questions people had. Many of them were very different, but the experience and perspectives around the room were also very different, and in many cases, incredibly insightful. So that is essentially the gist of the agenda for the 5 meetings in a row. And they're each different because progress is different, obstacles are different, difficulties are different, but that's the trajectory of the program. And the last meeting is a real celebration. Where is everybody now versus where they hoped they would be versus where they started? The testimonials at the final meeting, and then the testimonials are for each other, not for the coaches, but the testimonials are extraordinary. I mean, people really feel like they have had an experience that they didn't expect. So, and time commitment, Kyle, let me just say, I think, and Sharon can verify this. In the beginning, I talked to Sharon once a week. Once she got her challenge into really good, measurable language, I think there are times we stretched it to every 2 weeks. Is that right, Sharon?
Yes.
But it says it's what people need. There are some people who just really need more time at the beginning to sort of get their challenge framed in a way that they can really pursue it and know what outcomes they're seeking. Other people, what I do at the end of every coaching call is say, what are the 3 things you're going to do before we talk the next time? And we agree on what the next most important 3 things are. And that becomes the first agenda item for the next phone call. So we're focused on, Sharon said, focused on doing, not talking. But, a coach can be incredibly supportive, Hafsa mentioned getting on the balcony. A coach doesn't have any agenda other than to see you be successful at your challenge. We have no other agendas. We're third parties, we're objective, and we get to know you, and we get to know your organization, and we get to understand what kind of coaching is most effective for you. Does that help, Kyle?
And on the screen, you will see the 5 dates, which are already, decided upon. And these are the ones when the cohort will be meeting in person. The idea behind this was to ensure that everybody can plan their calendars in advance. So that is something which is worth considering. Again, all this information is available on the website as well. And Kyle, last year's cohort, we had someone who had just recently took on the role of an executive director. And we actually have they couldn't join us today, so they were kind enough to send us a 2-minute video clip, fresh off the press sort of a way. Margo, with your permission, shall I play Bill?
Sure.
Okay, so the Bill came in with a very, very interesting challenge, but he was an absolutely exceptional person who was willing to work on himself, be exposed to, his blind spots, get out of his comfort zone. And I think, I can say this, and there's Dora here, there's Sharon and Margo. Everybody will say that our cohort last year was just co-creators of the ultimate kind. So we really appreciated that. I will play Bill right now.
Hi, I'm Bill Jelinek, President and CEO of the Providers Council. The Council is the state's largest human services membership association with 220 members across the state. And while I've been at the organization since 2007, I just stepped into the role as President and CEO in November of 2023. I had the opportunity to be part of the 2024-2025 Leadership Acceleration Program cohort, and I want to share just a little bit about my experience as you consider applying to this year's program. There were so many valuable pieces of this program, but three things really stand out to me. First, LAP doesn't deal in hypotheticals. It asks you to bring forward a real challenge that's core to your organization's success. I found it powerful to work on something that truly mattered, not just to me, but to my organization as a whole. That level of focus made my participation feel more meaningful from day one. Second, I found my peer group to be invaluable. Leading a nonprofit is very lonely. Having a group of fellow executive directors who understood that, knew what I was going through, who would listen, push back, share ideas, made it feel so much less isolating. It was both grounding and inspiring to be a part of that support and be in a room with so many other talented individuals. And the third for me was really the executive coaching. This part was transformational. I stepped into my role following a longtime leader who'd been at the organization for 25 years. And as a new executive, I was looking for guidance on how to best work with the board, the staff, and other external stakeholders. My coach was able to give me honest, candid feedback and help me think strategically about how to step into that role with confidence. That made an enormous difference for me, and I'm incredibly grateful to LAP for providing it. So is executive coaching really worth it for an executive director? For me, it's a resounding yes. That coaching helped me see things from a different angle, helped keep me accountable, and it pushed me to grow in ways that I wouldn't have achieved on my own. I think every executive director or executive leader could benefit from this type of partnership. To all of you considering the program, it's an amazing opportunity that I'd encourage you to pursue. You can bring forward an ambitious challenge, lean into your peers, and really trust the process. If you do, you'll come out of this organization, out of this program, a much stronger leader, and your organization will benefit just as much as you do. So thanks to Margo, thanks to my executive coach, Hafsa, and the entire Leadership Acceleration Program for giving me the opportunity last year and continuing this on for future cohorts. Please apply for the program. I promise you'll be glad that you did. Have a great day.
Okay, I have to say this is such a feel-good endorsement, and this was not prompted, this was not led into, this is straight from the heart. And I think Bill, along with everyone else, is a testament to this whole notion that if you have to compound influence, you must include others, and that's how we go forward. And Margo, shall we talk a little bit about the accountability for the coaches, because they play a huge role. Bill has just highlighted what a big difference a coach made. Sharon spoke about how Margo as her coach made a huge difference. Margo has designed a setup where there are expectations from every coach, because you have to keep your ego out of coaching. It is not about you, it is about the person. It has to be transformational for them. Margo, if you could just shed some light on how you look at the entire process.
Yeah, obviously the coaching is extremely important. We do evaluations midterm and at the end of the program, but particularly the midterm evaluation is a really important way for me in particular to understand how the coaching relationship is working. And those evaluations go just to me. The coaches and I have a conversation once a month. And then at any other time that a coach may run into a problem that they haven't seen before, at this point in my career, I've probably seen every problem in one shape or another at some time or another. And I really enjoy helping people problem solve. And I think people have taken advantage of that. So the evaluations, any participant is absolutely free to call me or text me or email me at any time if they're having a challenge. If their coaching isn't working as well as they would like. I have to say, I participate once applicants apply and we review applications. A certain number of folks are then interviewed, and I participate in every one of the interviews, typically with one or two other coaches. By the end of the interview process, I know the coaches pretty well. I've worked with them for some time. And by the end of the process, I know enough about the participants to figure out who would be the best coach for this person. I mean, it's very much individualized. The performance challenge, the coaching, and the matching of coaches to participants is thoughtful, careful, and very much focused on what does this individual need? What will they benefit from most? So, it's really accountability on all sides. We ask the participants to be accountable for working on their challenge, for working with a coach, for completing 5 very brief assignments, which are really just in preparation for the meetings that I discussed with Kyle, and to do an evaluation, to agree to do the mid-year and end of program evaluation to give us the kind of feedback that helps us. If we don't get evaluations, we don't get better. So I think we have benefited enormously from the feedback from the first and second lab classes.
And while we're on the subject of the classes, I think it's important for us to go over the application process. Our deadline is on 18th of this month. And what is required from you is, first of all, I apologize for a little typo in the first sentence, which is now going to annoy me, but the form is available online. I have put the form link in the chat. The additional documents that you do require, Margo has very kindly designed a system. She understands how nonprofit boards work. And if you are delayed in getting the letter to us, that's okay. You just have to drop her a line and let her know. Her email is also in the chat. But the resume and the application online both need to be submitted before 18th of this month. Do you guys want us to double click on what kind of a letter from the board chair or the professional peer? What are we looking for? Is that something anybody wants to know?
Yes.
A lot of the board chair is really just because we think it's important that your board chair know that you're participating in this program and is fine with it. We're not asking for anything much more than that. If they want to tell us all the things they hope you will work on, they can do that. They most often don't do that. They simply say they're supportive, they're pleased that you're doing it, and they're pleased that it's a resource that's available to you. And the letter from a peer, what we're really looking for is, something from somebody who you've worked with. It doesn't have to be a staff member, it can be somebody in a different organization entirely, that just supports the concept that you work pretty hard, that you're a pleasure to work with or not. But just so we have a sense that when we pull the peer group together, we've got folks who are used to working with colleagues in other organizations.
We're good there? Awesome. So,
Oh, I have a question.
yeah, awesome.
So when it comes to a professional peer, just to clarify, it can be someone from the organization that we're a part of, or someone from around that we have worked with. That's the important thing, right?
Exactly.
Okay, thank you.
I must remind everybody again that September 18th is the deadline for the application. We are looking at potentially having a cohort of 7 to 9 executive directors.
But it's not a large group. We've discovered this size of the group is really optimal. People have a chance to really talk to each other offline together when they're together and be really helpful to each other. It's proven to be a really good size. Helen.
Good question. Can you speak a little bit to the group dynamic versus the individual project dynamic? So I understand that the group meets, but is there sort of like that I don't want to use the word divide, but like that balance of, is there group work as well, or is it mostly like collaborative learning and then individual project work that you work with a coach on?
It's not group work. The real purpose of the group is for people to help each other, for people to hear from each other and to help each other and support each other. And it's been remarkable to me to see how engaged people are in each other's challenges, even though the challenges are very different, but how engaged they become and how much they want to be helpful and how much they look for resources. I mean, Sharon mentioned one of the people who provided her development. I mean, everybody reaches out in amazing ways to each other. And one other thing I'd say, the people who are in the peer group, because they're from a wide swath of the nonprofit world, they're not necessarily people you would run into in any associations or other networks that you belong to. And I think that's been really exciting for people that, I mean, foster care essentials is very different from the Provider Council or the Dedham School of Music. It's just a really diverse and interesting group.
I think one of the things that really drills home the point is the network effect of the peer group. It really helps you to not feel, first of all, alone, because we understand that executive directors, much like the CEOs in any Fortune 500, whatever company, they are in a lonely place. They cannot go and discuss every single thing with the people they work with. It all rests on their shoulders, and they have to now have answers for everything. So what the peer group eventually ends up doing, besides doing all the things that lab has to do, which is to make sure that you are moving towards success, is building each other up. That is the that is really what the peer group and the peer support system comes in to do. It doesn't matter how big your organization is that you're supporting. It doesn't matter what your annual budget is, or how famous you are, or what category of nonprofit are you in. What matters is, are you passionate about what you're saying? Are you going to defend it? And then everybody just comes in. And that really is the aha moment a lot of times, after everybody achieves their success metrics. On that note, we initially had designed this informational webinar, bearing in mind that we didn't want it to be like, a drop down menu, click this, make it a bit more, as I said, interactive. But so spoken with Sharon, we've heard from Bill. We also have somebody from the Culture House, Aaron Grenier. He was on the younger side of executive directors, and the demographic and the heuristic diversity that we had in our cohort really brought a lot of energy. So, Margo, with your permission, shall I play Aaron?
Great. Yeah.
This is Aaron Greiner. I'm the Exec Director of Culture House, and I was a member of the lab cohort last year. And just wanted to reflect on the experience. It was a really valuable experience for me as a nonprofit director. I especially appreciated the cohort aspect of the program, being with a group of nonprofit directors who were all facing very different challenges, but still working in this similar space. Really gave me the chance to look at the challenges that I was facing and look at solutions that others had tried that I hadn't necessarily thought of, because they may be, in a slightly different area of work, but still had a lot of similarities in the challenges that they were facing. So I really felt like the time spent with other leaders, dedicating time to talking about the big challenges was really rare. Often in nonprofit work, we're so focused on the day-to-day, it's very hard to take that step back and really look at our work more critically. And so having that chance to be both with the mentor, but also with the cohort group, was really a valuable experience that I'm still learning from and will continue to take on with my work in the future.
That really did help him. Aaron wanted to be with us, but he's away on a conference. Something else that's happened is that all our lab participants have maintained contact from lab 1 to lab 2, have maintained contact with their EDs. The secret sauce here comes in that Margo is forever available for any phone call. So a lot of times people are reluctant to say something, perhaps, right? Or if they feel there's a mismatch or a misalignment. Margo's role as a lead coach is, first of all, to be a mama bear, not just for her coaches, but also for her participants. And if you have a problem, you can reach out to her, you can let her know. And that's the kind of clarity and sort of transparency that lab really becomes a sort of family, like a professional family, people you can come to, people you can disclose your vulnerabilities with. It is always the organizational challenge which is at the core of lab, but everything else around it also makes it worthwhile. And it happens because we have an inspiring leader.
Well, let's not go overboard here. Just one.
See, she puts me in place.
I wanted to offer is, in the feedback we got in the last group, and we said, what can we do to make this program more powerful, better for you in any way? We got sort of 3 or 4 suggestions. One was more in-person meetings. The second was have the coaching continue after the program is over. And the third was, how about an alumni group? And I think the coaches, all of whom are volunteers, said, "Oh my Lord, this is quite a set of requests." But it was just really encouraging to see the kinds of things that people felt would be valuable in the aftermath of the program.
Do you guys have any comments, clarities?
I have a question. Where are the in-person meetings?
That is a very good question, Julian. The answer is we haven't decided yet. We thought we would wait to see what the group of participants looks like in terms of locations. What we try to do is find a location that is accessible to everyone without great difficulty. So we'll wait to see who ends up in the cohort, and we will consult with all of them and figure out locations. Does that make sense?
Yeah, it makes sense. Thanks.
For the last cohort, our first meeting happened in Boston. Our second meeting happened in Cambridge. Our third meeting happened and final meeting happened in Burlington. So it will go over the place, but logistically, everyone's proximity is always taken into account. And there is no cost to this program. We are not charging you for anything.
What we've said is this may be the last round where there is not a charge to the programs. It would be a modest charge if we did it. We haven't made a final decision, but we committed to 3 rounds without cost to participants. So that's the 3rd round we are facing right now.
Yeah, that's pretty much it. And it's 1:43. I think we've covered pretty much everything. In case if you guys have any more questions, trust is a very, very important element. Trust between the coach and the participant, the ED. Anything that you discuss within the peer room, a peer group or support, it never ever makes it out into the daylight. Whatever your performance challenges are, they are always going to be sacrosanct for us to protect, and we will never disclose. We did not mention anybody's challenges today, and that is the ethical code that we're going by. The first meeting we usually have, we take a photo, and the last meeting that we have, we take a photo. And I do have a screen share for you guys. It is worth seeing because it just, I don't know how, if you'd be able to get this, but I think we were all like, if you just look at it, on the left is the first meeting. We're all standing, we're close together, yet kind of nervous energy. And the other one, it is the end of lab. Everybody got a chance to speak. We all had, a little bit of lunch, and there was camaraderie in the group. These are things we can tell you, but I think it's best to show. So you become connected for a very long time. And that is really the success of lab. That is our aha moment always. Everybody feels like they did their best. The time was well spent, and they built connections that otherwise in a networking event you would not have it. And with that, I'm going to segue into something. If you want to know more, if you want to learn more about us or meet us in person, we, for the first time, after a very long time, are going to be hosting a networking event where we have designed an intimate gathering. It's on 24th of September from 5 to 7 p.m. And it's not your average sort of regular networking event. It's happening in an art gallery, because we really want to celebrate the art of nonprofit life. The tickets are for $35. It is in Lexington. Parking is close by. We'll give you all the details. But what we do guarantee is this is not card swapping. This is not name dropping. This is really coming in and building connections. It's a small, intimate group of perhaps 50 people. And we hope some of you can join in. All of us will be there. We have Dora, who was also a coach last one. And actually, she's always been a coach for lab. Dora, would you like to say something? She's going to be there. Margo's going to be there. Sharon's going to be there. I'm going to be there. So please do consider coming for that. Dora, do you want to talk about lab briefly? Let us know.
Yeah, I'll just speak to the fact about how it really becomes a family. And one of the ways that, like an example of that is, I've been reaching out to our former lab group, and I just received a lovely note from Jonathan and says, I'm so sorry I can't attend. And he actually has a super busy day that day, something in the morning and something, meeting with a donor in the evening, and just said, it's just great to hear from you. And you could just feel the warmth and that sense of family, I guess, community that really came through. I think everyone has such a great memory from the experience. And I'm still in touch with the person that I coached from my first lab cohort. And she graciously, actually, we just had somebody here who was attending that she had referred. So I was really happy that she was so happy with her experience that she has recommended to actually a past participant and perhaps a future one to the group. So it really is, you become part of the family. And I hope that you get that sense in this session that we had this afternoon, because it really is very much so.
Thank you, Dora. So yeah, the networking event, I've dropped in the chat the link to Eventbrite. Check it out. I think we are particularly pleased with the idea that we're going to be surrounded by art. We will play some jazz. It is not a marketing event. It is just simply, of course, we will talk about ourselves, right? A little bit about what we do, because Nonprofit Net is always providing free of cost webinars as well. And we've done 170, I believe, right? So far, and we've been around for 22 years, and it makes sense for us to go out there and bring people in. That is the mission. We have a phenomenal woman. She's our president, Laura Parrow, and she's got big dreams, and she's supported by board members like us. We are an all volunteer board. We are invested for no personal gain, but for just simply the need to give back. That is why LAP exists. That is why Margo puts in a lot of hours into making LAP a success. That is really why we do what we do. If there are no questions, and with Margo's permission, I am just going to share again with you, September 18th is the last day for your application submission. You need to fill your online application, and a resume needs to be dropped in. If the letter from the board chair and your professional peer is not available, drop Margo a line on her email address, let her know. And then we have between 10 to 12 days, we will be going through the process of selecting the candidate. Margo will be reaching out and interviewing all of you. She said that, I'm just reminding. And there is a lot of things you can bring up, bring to the table. Don't hold back. If there's a question, ask. There are no wrong questions when it comes to LAP. Bye. Consider donating to NPN because we work on donations. Margo, I think we've covered everything.
I think you're right. I think we did as much as you can expect to be done in an hour, but don't hesitate to send me an email if you have a question or something that occurs to you as you're filling out the application, which we hope you will all do.
Yeah, and thank you so much for your time. And we want to give you your 10 minutes back so you can go take a break and get some walk.
Thank you so much.
Thank you so much for
Thank you
joining.
all.
You.
Good to
Thanks,
see you all.
everyone.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Have a good day.